All right. So Hare Krishna. இன்னைக்கு வந்து today we are meeting for special replacement class of Srimad Bhagavatam on 27th January 2023. All right. So today is auspicious day. Today, also we had this Kumbha Abhishekam for this Hanuman temple in Brickfields. So on this day, we gather Friday and to discuss on Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So anyway, let's start with our Guru, Pranam Mantra. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajadam Shahagana Raghunathan Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savaduta Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vidam Cha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimadi Jayapataka Swami Tinamine Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakada Damadaya Nagaragrama Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimadi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Pasachare Starine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimadi Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaye Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vignana Dayine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryo Jvala Premadya Sri Rupanuga Bhaktira Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Pasidanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambodhe Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidanandanamine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumi Swam Nidasa Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarva Bhauma Sri Jagannatha Yate Namaha Vanchakal Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Paditaram Pavinibhyo Vaishnavebhayo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Garatuse Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avadaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Chetam Suratau Pangur Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvasu Padam Puja Radha Madana Mohanao Divyat Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumadaha Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanastu Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prashtalibi Seve Manosmarami Sriman Rasa Rasarambi Mamsivata Tatastita Karshan Venur Svanir Gopir Gopinata Yasri Stuna Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneswari Vrishabhanu Sudhe Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, let's do our invocation prayer. Okay. Sarva Shastrabdipiyusa Sarva Vedeka Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokeka Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidvanto Ditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. Will I read this?
Hare Krishna, sir.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all the Vedic scriptures, you are the most prominent transcendental fruit of the Vedas and are enriched with the jewels of all philosophical conclusion. You grant spiritual vision to all people of the world and are the very life breath of the Vaishnava devotee. O Lord, you are the sun which has risen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. Actually, you are Lord Krishna, who has returned among us. Hare Krishna, sir.
Paramananda Pataya Prema Varsyaksarayate Sarvadas Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. Next. Maybe Mataji, you can go on reading. Arasi Mataji.
Okay. O Srimad Bhagavatam, I offer respectful obeisance upon you. By your recitation, once attained transcendental bliss, because your syllabus showered down pure love of God. You are to be served by everyone, always, for you are incarnation of Lord Krishna.
Mat Eko Bandhu Mat Sangin Mat Guru Man Mahadana Man Nistaraka Mat Bhakya Madananda Namostute.
O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, companion and teacher, O my great wealth and deliverer, O my good fortune and bliss, I offer respectful obeisance upon you.
Asadu Saduta Dainani Nati Nicho Chatakara Hana Muncha Kadachin Mang Premna Hit Kantayoshpura.
O Srimad Bhagavatam, O bestower of saintlessness to the unsaintly, O upper lifter of the most fallen, please never leave me, accompanied by pure love of Krishna. Please manifest yourself in my heart and throat.
Hare
Krishna,
Bol,
sir.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so so we have done the invocation. Then let's okay. So today we're going to discuss on this chapter 1, text 9, 23, right? Canto 1, chapter 9, text 23, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhyasya yato anvayat itarascharte sva abhijna swarat tene brahma hirdaya adi kavaihe muhyanti yat surayah tejo vari mridanyata vinimayo yatra tri sargo marsha damna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Nasta prayesu abhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Okay, so we are continuing with this chapter 9 from Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the title of the passing away of Bhishma Deva. All right, so Bhishma Deva is going to leave his body, and where he's going to leave his body, he's just waiting for an auspicious moment to leave his body. All right, so when we look at this, how come only one verse is coming out? Just give me a moment. This database is always slow. Okay. So what we're going to do here, we're going to recap the last few verses. So in chapter 19 is, all right, okay, chapter 9, all right. So let's look at this, just to recap. So the situation here is now, Bhishma, I mean, what do you call, Yudhishthira is very upset, right? So he's very upset, and so Krishna created a situation whereby he wanted Yudhishthira to get instruction from Bhishma, right? So let's look at this, the last few verses. He says, now Bhishma is saying, O king, that personality whom out of ignorance only All right. That means, O king, the personality whom out of ignorance, Ariyame, all right, only you thought to be your maternal cousin. All right. You only think that Krishna is your cousin out of ignorance. Your very dear friend, well-wisher, counselor, messenger, benefactor. Okay. Is that very personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Okay. So the person that you think that your cousin is only actually the supreme personality. All right. So in 2021, we saw being the absolute personality of Godhead is present in everyone's heart. Okay. Krishna is present in everyone's heart. He's equally kind to everyone. All right. That means he's present in everyone's heart. He is equally kind to everyone. Okay. Because whether the person is sinful or not, they are still getting their quota. All right. They're getting their enough sunlight, enough rain, enough water, enough entertainment, enough food to eat, everything. All right. And he is free from all false ego. Okay. And Krishna is free from all false ego of differentiation. That means he don't differentiate things. Therefore, whatever he does is free from material inability. All right. He is equibalence. So now Bhishma is trying to console Yudhishthira, saying that, so whatever things that he do is beyond that material understanding. Okay, you say that all your cousins, your relations all got killed. So this is something which is beyond your, beyond this thing, right? So now let's look at 22. So in 22, we saw that yet despite he being equally kind to everyone, even though that is equally kind to everyone, he has graciously came before me while I'm ending my life. All right. So it's graciously, the Bhishma Devi is very appreciative. Say that even though he's kind to everyone, but he came before me while I am ending my life, for I am his unflinching servitor. All right. So it's very important. So he's very happy that he's dying by looking at Krishna. All right. And now in 23, Bhishma Devi is going to give you a very important instruction. Okay, let's pay attention to this. Bhaktya Veshya. Okay, Bhaktya Veshya Mano Yasmin Vacha. Vacha Yan. All right. Vasa Yan Nama Kirtayan. Nama Kirtayan. Tyajan Kalevarang Yogi Muchyate Kama Karma Bihi. All right. Bhaktya Veshya Mano Yasmin Vachayan Nama Kirtayan Tyajan Kalevarang Yogi Muchyate Kama Karma Bihi. Bhaktya Veshya Mano Yasmin Vachayan Nama Kirtayan Tyajan Kalevarang Yogi Muchyate Kama Karma Bihi. Again, Bhaktya Veshya Mano Yasmin Vachayan Nama Kirtayan Tyajan Kalevarang Yogi Muchyate Kama Karma Bihi. All right. Okay, come. Who would like to recite the verse? Hello.
So I tried.
Yes, yes.
Bhakti Vesha Mano Yasmin Vacha Nama Kirtayan Tyaja Kalevaran Yogi Muchyate Kama Karma Bihi.
Very nice.
Hare
Next.
Krishna, sir.
Bhaktya Veshya Mano Yasmin Vasa Yan. Okay, next.
Krishna Prabhuji, can
Yes,
I
yes, please.
Bhaktya Veshya Mano Yasmin Vachayan Nama Kirtayan Tyajan Kalevaram Yogi Muchyate Kama Karma Bi.
Very nice. Very nice. Nice. Next, who would like to read? One more person?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Bhaktya Veshya Mano Yasmin Vachayan Nama Kirtayan Tyajan Kalevarang Yogi Muchyate Kama Karmibi.
Okay, nice. But this is not Kalevaram, it's Kalevaram.
Oh, Kalevarang.
Kalevaram.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Bhaktya Veshya Mano Yasmin Vachayan Nama Kirtayan Tyajan kalevarang yogi muchyate kama karma bihi. Bhaktya, with devout attention. Okay. Aveshya, meditating. Manaha, mind. Yasmin, in whose? Vacha, by words. All right. Yat, Krishna. Nama, holy name. Kirtayan, by chanting. Tyajan, quitting. Kalevaram, this material body. Yogi, the devotee. Muchyate, get release. Kama karma be, from fruitive activities. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The personality of Godhead who appears in the mind of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation by chanting of the holy name, what happened? Releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material body. Okay. Again, the personality of Godhead who appears in the mind of the devotee, by attentive devotion and meditation, and by chanting of the holy name, releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material body. Right? It's a very, very, very interesting verse, and of course, very assuring. All right. So what is that process of us going to get liberated from this bondage? So that is what Bhishma Dev is instructing Yudhishthira. What he says, the personality of Godhead, that means Krishna, all right, who appears in the mind, okay, who appears in the mind of the devotee. How? By attentive devotion. All right. So this is number one. So number one is we are talking about attentive devotion. Okay. Attentive devotion. Okay. Number one is attentive devotion. And what is number two? Number two is meditation. All right. And by chanting of the holy name. All right. Meditation. Okay. Number two is meditation. Okay. Let me highlight this. Number two is meditation. And number three is by chanting. Okay, by chanting. So attentive devotion and meditation and by chanting of the holy name. All right, what happened? It releases the devotees. It releases the devotee. From where? From the bondage of fruitive activities. When? At the time of he quitting his material body. So this is very, very important. See, number one, when we talk about attentive devotion, so that means as we progress in bhakti, we have to be attentive. We have to pay attention to the devotional service that actually we are involved in. All right. It is no longer a whimsical thing. So by being very attentive devotion, example, if you are the person who always love to cook, you cook for Krishna very attentively, with paying so much of attention to what you are doing. All right. It is not that simply we think, we are trying to do something for the kind of deity idol. All right. It's not that. When we cook with so much of attention, saying and believing that actually the personality of God, it's Sri Krishna, going to enjoy the food that we're going to cook for him. Even though Krishna doesn't need the food that we're going to offer. All right. He is omnipotent, omnipresent. He has his Radharani, Srimati Radharani to serve him. Right. But how do Srimati Radharani serve Krishna? Is very attentively. Even when you look at Lord Narayana, whereby that Mother Mahalakshmi is sitting at the lotus feet of Narayana and massaging. When you see that so much of attention. When you look at that form of this Sri Sitaram Lakshman and Hanuman, you see the way that Lakshman stands beside in so much of attention. And you see the way that Hanuman sitting at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra, it's also with full of attention. So even though that we do some small kind of activity in serving the Lord, we have to be very attentive. We have to pay attention. In other words, we have to pay attention. It is not like when you go to the kitchen, talk some grandmother story while you're cooking. No, it's very wrong. Sometimes you see, right? when you go to the kitchen, there's got so much of story to talk. All right. It is just like, it looks like as though in the kitchen, there's a time that is like some kind of a reunion, right? All the devotees get together when they cut vegetable, they talk this story, that story, vanda kada, pona kada, nalla kada, nolla kada, all kind of stories. They'll be chatting, yakking. No, it's very wrong, right? And while we are, say, like for instance, when just imagine like when we are sweeping the floor in the temple, right? We have to pay attention to every block of the tiles. That is attention, right? Maybe at home we just simply sweep. But when you're going to pay attention to every block of the tiles, you are actually doing a perfect job. Attention, all right? So that means what when the God really appears in the mind of the devotee, all right? This is how it will happen by attentive devotion. The devotional service is not something whimsical. Whimsical means just another no, right? It has to be very much attentive. Okay, first we have to do attentive devotion. By what? By meditation. All right. So when we sweep the floor, example, when we sweep the floor, we just meditate, saying, thinking that actually I am cleaning the temple of the Lord. So the devotees will come to the temple and they going to practice devotional service very peacefully. Not by finding, hey, why the place is dirty? Why? We don't want the devotees, whoever comes into the temple, we look, oh, why is it so dusty? Why is it so dirty? We do not want them to divert the attention to these kind of petty things. All right. So, and when we cook, we cook with so much of meditation, thinking that, all the pastimes of Krishna. All right. Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. That's a very interesting song that actually, if you can have your meditation while you're cooking, it's going to be very interesting. If you can, okay, let me see. Bhaja. Bhakata. All right. Okay, let me find the songbook. Bhaja. Bhajare Bogarti, all right. Okay. So, like for instance, if you can memorize this song, you say if you have taken up the seva of cooking, if you can memorize this song, it's going to be very interesting. Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. Sri Gaura Hari Sohi Goshta Bihari. Nanda Jaso Madi Chita Hari. Bela Holo Damodara Aisara Ekano. Boga Mandire Boshi Koraha Bojana. Okay, let me read the translation. Right? Just worship Sri Gaura Hari, who is always affectionate towards his devotees. He is the same Supreme Godhead Krishna who supported the cowherd pasture of Raja and stole the heart of Nanda and Yasoda. Right? So now Mother Yasoda calls to Krishna. My dear Krishna, my dear Damodara, it is very late. Please come right now. Sit down in the dining hall and take your lunch. On the direction of Nanda Maharaj, Krishna, the holder of Govardhan hill, sits down, and then all the cowherd boys, along with Krishna's elder brother Baladev, sit down in the rows to take their lunch. Then they are served with the feast like sukta and various kinds of green leafy vegetables. Then nice fried things and the salad made of green leaves of the jute plant. They are also served with pumpkin, basket of fruits, small square cakes made of lentils and cooked down milk, then thick yogurt, squash cooked in milk, and vegetable preparation made from a flower of the banana tree. Then they receive the fried square of mung dal patties and urad dal patties, chapatis, rice and ghee. Next, sweet made with milk, sugar, and sesame. So like that, you start to meditate, right? But deep in your heart, you still think, oh Krishna, even though that you have such a lavish food to eat, but I only can do this for your pleasure. Please kindly take it. So that is meditation. So that means you are cooking with so much of ecstasy, even though you're just making a khichdi. And while you're making a khichdi, you say, Krishna, this is what I can do for you, Krishna. I know that you like to eat all these mang dals, patties, you like to eat chapatis, you like to eat rice with this, you like to eat these laddus, you like to eat all kind of varieties of food, but only this I can do for you. But anyway, I hope that you please accept this thing. I hope I'm doing the best thing. So in that is called meditation. All right. So in that meditation, you cook. All right. There's a second way that Krishna will appear in the mind. And number 3 is by chanting the holy name. The chanting of the holy name is very, 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 very important. That is that way, actually, you can capture Krishna into your heart. First, we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to purify our mind because our mind is so polluted. But after that, when we start to chant further, as we get this thing, get some taste in Krishna, that means by attentive devotion, by meditation, when we these two, then after that, when you start to chant Hare Krishna, all right, holy name, you know what will happen? It releases the devotee. It releases the devotee from what? Releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities. Because all the fruitive activities that we do, it creates bonds, right? Example, when you go to work, you cannot simply go to work without any feeling. You go there, right? Then after that, they ask you to become a supervisor. Then after supervisor, they promote you to the assistant manager. Then you become manager. So that means you are in charge of this line. You are in charge of this job. So end up, you become so entangled to it, right? The general manager will ask you, what's happening? Where is your target? So that means by getting involved in all kind of fruitive activities, it creates a bondage, right? Say like, for instance, okay, I'm making some extra money. I go and buy a car. When you buy a car, you're bonded for the next 7 to 9 years. Whether you like it or not, you have to work to pay that installment. Whether you have money to pour petrol, whether you have money to service the car, or whether you have what they call to maintain whatever, whether you drive the car or you don't drive, you still have to pay. It's called bondage. So like this, we have, like similarly, like this, we have so many things that actually we are bonded to and we stuck. So in that bondage, all right, so that kind of bondage is the one sometimes takes us at the time of the final moment, right? Example, right? Say when the final moment comes, as we know that, okay, now it's time's up, right? It's most likely I'm going to check in, right? Everything. Then that's the time that you're trying to tell your children, do you know what is my bank password? Do you know, okay, this property goes to this side? Do you remember? So that means that they are so attached to what they were doing. Before they leave the body, they want to give away all the properties accordingly. They want to tell them some secret account. Okay, I'm having an account in HSBC, this account number, this the password, right? So this kind of things creates, this kind of activities creates bondage. But here what Krishna says, that means what Bhishma Dev is telling, when we are attentive in our devotional service, through meditation and also by chanting the holy name, by doing that, somehow or other, it releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities. All the fruitive activities they are released. All right. When at the crucial moment, at the time of his quitting the material body, it's very important. When we are quitting this material body is the time that we are sitting for an ultimate exam. If we don't pass that exam with satisfactory mark, we have to come back again. We have to resit again, right? If we fail miserably, we have to go into this kind of other kind of living entity kingdom, and we have to come back, right? So it's like that. So it's time of that. This is what Bhishma Dev is giving assurance to Yudhishthira. All right. Now let's look at the purport. By His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So in the purport, he says, all right, let's look at this. What he says, yoga means concentration. That is yoga. All right. Yoga means concentration. It is not sitting and doing something else. It's not an exercise. right? It's not exercise, you're stretching your hand and leg, do some kind of acrobatic stunt. No, yoga means concentration. That's why when we start yoga, the first thing they'll teach you is pranava. Okay, you take a deep breath on your left nostril, hold it, then you blow out in your right nostril. You control your breath. So when you control your breath, somehow or other, all your agitation senses will become calm, so that you can concentrate. So in other words, what Prabhupada is telling here, yoga means concentration. Concentration of the what? Of the mind. All right. So what does it mean? What kind of concentration of the mind? Which is detached from other material matters, with detached from all other subject matters. And actually, such concentration is called samadhi. Right? If we can concentrate and we can pay attention and we can really absorb in our meditation to the lotus feet of Krishna, it is called samadhi. Many people think samadhi means death. Die already, samadhi katita. No. Samadhi means they have already gone into what they call, they managed to pull back all the things and they are fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Okay, samadhi, which is also called 100% engagement. 100%. That means 100. In other words, in the modern term, what we call 101% engagement. Not even a single percent that we get diverted. All right. So 100% or 101% engagement in the service of the Lord. In the service of the Lord. All right. And now, and one who concentrates his attention, all right, in the manner is called yogi. These are the people called yogi. So in other words, to become a yogi, it is not something that you need to wear some kind of minimal dress. You have to go into the jungle, sit down and meditate. No. Yogi means the one who can concentrate his attention. Right? 100%. Or in other words, 101%. Attention to the lotus feet of Krishna is called yogi. Such yogi devotee of Lord engages himself 24 hours daily. Right? 24 hours daily in the service of the Lord, so that his whole attention is engrossed with the thoughts of the Lord. All right? In how? In ninefold devotional service. Okay, there's a 9 limb. In devotional service, there's the thing called 9 limb. Okay, 9 method, right? Ninefold devotional service, like namely hearing, chanting, smaranam, kirtanam, vandanam, remembering, worship, right? Praying, becoming voluntarily servant, carry out orders, establishing a friendly relationship, or offering all that one may possess in the service of the Lord. All right. So this is part of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All right. So these are the 9 limbs of devotional service. All right. So the 9 limbs or the 9 process of devotional service. Okay. 9-fold. Yeah. So if anyone wants to, maybe you should snapshot this. All right. Use your phone to snapshot. If you're using the computer, take a thing and capture this. This is the 9-fold devotional service. Number 1 is hearing. Right. Hearing. Number 2 is chanting. Smaranam, kirtanam, vandanam, dhyanam. All right. So that means first is hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, praying. What is worship and praying? Both look same. Worship means you are doing arati. You are worshipping. You are worshipping the deities. That means you are doing arati. Praying means you are praying. You are praying. Okay. Becoming a volunteer servant. All right. You must understand this devotional service is voluntary service. It is not something that people can force you or pay you salary to do so. All right. Here we do not have a paid salary worker. It is voluntary. That means you're volunteering yourself to become the servant. Then after that, carry out orders. Very important. Carry out orders is very important from a senior devotees, because they have seen the truth. They have passed through the thing. They have got experience, the knowledge plus experience. They can tell you. So when they tell you that, you just simply carry out orders. When the senior devotee or spiritual master give you an order, that's it. Like that day, I was talking to Dinesh. All right. Whenever I'm down, honestly, sometimes I'm also a human being. I also have emotion. I'm not a pure devotee. I'm still struggling in my bhakti, in my sadhana. So suddenly when I'm down, that day, that during that moment whereby Tineshwaran was having taking shelter at the at the lotus feet of his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, right? So he was telling, and I remember Bhakti Chaitanya Swami was telling, but thank God I recorded that. I recorded that in video. He said, take these as my instruction. You know, Bhakti Chaitanya Swami was telling Dineshwaran, take these as my first instruction. I want you to distribute books. And don't simply distribute books. When you distribute books, make sure you keep in touch with them. Call and talk to them. All right? And I want you to give me a report 3 months once. Every 3 months once, send me a report of your sadhana. That was, I was basically having a goosebump, right? Because I'm an ardent book distributor. I love book distribution. Among all the sevas that's available for Krishna, the thing that I love the most is distributing Srila Prabhupada's book, right? So sometimes when I'm down, I will just watch that video. That Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami was staring right into the eyes of Dineshwaran as telling, take this as my first instruction. So that means this pure devotee gives you instruction. The Guru will give you instruction. So carrying out order is very, very important, vital part of our devotional service. Because the Guru basically are the Chaitya Guru or Paramatma appears in front of you as a Guru. Because the Guru knows your natural talent. How? It's very mysterious. It is very mysterious and couldn't be explained. It is a kind of a very mysterious reciprocation. All right. Out of sudden, he just told that to Tineshwaran. He haven't met Tinesh, Dr. Tinesh. He have never seen. But suddenly he said, it's just like as though a long lost friend sitting there and talking. Right? And suddenly he just said this to him. So similarly, this order carry is very, very important. So that means what happens if you don't have association with the Guru? So we should associate when we don't have anything, we have to carry the order of a senior devotees. When the senior devotees tell you, do this, you just simply do it. Carry out orders. Orders means what? All right? Orders means it's not a request. Can you do this? It's not a request. Order. Right? So like for instance, like in military. All right? He called up the soldier and said, okay, there's a 10 plus standing there. All the 10 soldiers come here. Now you're going to shoot him to death. It's a death penalty. I order you to shoot him. Bam! You have no choice but to shoot them. You cannot say, oh, look at the lady, look at the man, you look so innocent. I know he didn't do that. No, you are carrying out orders. So when you carry out order means something that you do without questioning. Or in other words, blindly you follow. That is what carrying out orders. It's very, very important. All right. So why I'm addressing this? Okay. When we have some devotees who are senior and everything, you must understand, you must always remember this. Carrying out orders from the spiritual master, it is very, very, very important. And also from a senior devotees, right? When the senior devotees, whoever it is, or like the temple president, whoever it is, they tell you something, we usually do not argue, right? Sometimes, whatever things that he's saying is wrong, but Krishna will make it right, right? If Krishna is going to make it right, if not, Krishna will never give you these kind of orders, or the spiritual master never give you these kind of orders. Carrying out orders is very, very important. All right. Then another thing, establishing a friendly relationship. Okay, establishing a friendly relationship with who? With Krishna and also with his devotees. The more that you are very close to his devotee, the more you create the friendly relationship with his devotees, the more Krishna will be very pleased with you. Right? So Krishna says, do not worship me directly. Worship my pure devotees. When you worship the lotus feet of my pure devotees, I am easily captured in your heart. I'm easily approachable. All right. He didn't say you come to me, you worship me directly. All right. You do this to me. Right. You do all kind of grand worship. No. Of course, you will have some kind of benefit. But Krishna says very clearly, worship my devotee. I think we will read that in chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita, if I'm not mistaken. Chapter 16 or chapter 17. I think there is around 7 or 10 verses. Ashta. Ashta means 8. Okay. There are 8 verses dedicated in the instruction of serving the devotees. right? So it's like that. Okay. So that means the what they call so it has to be a friendly relationship. All right. Devotee is the only person you do not want to create enmity. You do not want to become enemy to a devotee. That is the biggest blunder a person can think of. If you think that you're not happy with certain devotees, simply smile at them, simply say, and just avoid them. That's it. Very simple. You do not need to go and argue with them. You do not need to go around and talk about them. Oh, this particular person is this. No, it's very bad. Right? It's very bad. Right? So we just simply avoid such association and pray to Krishna. Dear Krishna, this devotee is some or other I think I can't click with him. Please kindly help me. So Krishna or some or other will make sure that that devotee will never cross your path or you never cross his path. So some or other you can be free. So friendly relation is very important. All right. Or offering all that one may possess in the service of the Lord. All right. Offering all that one may possess in the service of the Lord. So whatever our possession, whatever it is, we offer for the service of the Lord. Example, say like for instance, okay, I have a house. In my house, I turn into Bhakti Vriksha or Namahat. Right? So that means I'm giving up the privacy of my house. Okay, at least once a week. I invite all the people to come to the house and simply invite all the devotees and the non-devotees. All people come to my house and just simply glorify God. Right? Like nowadays, sometimes you see when we now is what they call the what property is that? What property is that? Guarded property is becoming a big popular thing. Guarded property. Why? Even you want to go there, you have to answer to the guard before they come to go to your house. So everybody loves to stay in a guarded property because everybody wants privacy. They do not want people to simply come, it's a kind of this thing. So you shouldn't not like that. So what you're going to do is, despite you want privacy, now you give up your privacy by inviting people to the house and glorify the Lord. All right. That's what he says by offering everything. All right. Okay. So these are the 9 limbs of bhakti. All right. So now, by such practice of yoga or linking we up in the service. Okay, what is first of all yoga? Yoga means linking up. Yoga means link. You're linking with someone. All right, linking with Krishna or God is called yoga. All right. So now, by such practice of yoga or linking up in the service of the Lord, one is recognized by the Lord himself. That's when Krishna will start to recognize you. Well, this devotee is trying his best. All right. So he knows that his external energy is very strong. He knows that Maya Devi is very strong. All right. But he is so merciful. So what happened? By his mercy, right, he will start to show you some kind of compassion. All right. You go on struggling, but he guarantees you, right? Just like when we are struggling, when we are first learning to cycle, right? When we first learn to cycle, usually our father will be holding us and we are cycling, right? So that means, in other words, we are very sure that we cycle, even though we don't know, we cannot balance our body, we are struggling to cycle, we are falling left and right, but we are rest assured that our Father is holding us, that will never prevent us from falling down. So similarly, Krishna is there. He knows. So now I think in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto chapter 2 or chapter 3, there's one purport. Prabhupada will be telling that Maya Devi that binds a people, all right, which make people get stuck in this world, will turn out to support the fallen soul to get liberated, because she knows that these devotees very sincerely attempting, all right, to become to perfect his devotional service. And Krishna knows, and she also knows that Krishna is actually favoring this person. So the Maya Devi is no longer will some or other will bind the person. All right. Okay. Anyway, so one is recognized by the Lord himself. It is explained in Bhagavad Gita concerning the highest perfection of the stage is samadhi. The Lord calls such a rare devotee. All right. Now let's look at this. The Lord calls such a rare devotee. That means what? That means in order for us to become a pure devotee of the Lord is considered a very rare thing to happen. All right. It's very rare. Why it's very rare? Because we are struggling to fight against our mind. We are struggling to fight against our intelligence. And the worst of all, struggling hard to fight against our false ego or the false identification, right? So it's very hard, very tough, right? Some or other you push yourself to chant your 16 rounds, fair enough. Some or other you are studying your Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam with full of attention. So that means there's a purification start. But the false ego, that means I, mine, will be still exists, right? I, mine still exists. Okay. Okay, I'd like to give you one example. I don't want to mention name, but it's happened quite some time back. When we talk about being advancing in Krishna conscious, right? And the time when they want to get their children married, okay, they want their children married, and they know there's another devotee who is quite advanced in bhakti, right? In bhakti and everything, they are doing very well. But when the time comes for the marriage of the child, right, they still would like to check their background on the concept of caste system, the caste, right? The varna. What is the caste of that person? Is he a high caste or low class? A low caste. So, but here in this study of this Sanatan Dharma, or this what they call study of this Bhakti Yoga, the caste is something that we are not. We look beyond it, because we know everyone that born in this Kali Yuga are considered low caste, all Shudras, and somehow or other we are struggling to come out. But still, there's some kind of neophyte thinking. I have born in this particular caste, and I have that particular caste, and all these things, right? So, despite they can dance together, they can sing together, they can chant together, they can eat together, but when it comes to marriage, the fellow, no, I'm from this caste, and the fellow from that caste, doesn't work. See. So that means the mind, even though the mind is getting purified, the intelligence is getting purified, everything is correct, but the false ego still do not allow us to do that. That identification, the false identification doesn't still allow that. So in order to break all these things and come to the level of Shuddha Bhakti, or the pure devotional service, is very rare. It's very rare, right? It's very rare. But the question is, how am I supposed to do it? That is why the reading of Bhagavad Gita, the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the reading of Nectar of Devotion is very, 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 very important. Right? So we have to keep purifying our intelligence, because we know, right? Because we know that all these things are only external features of the body. All right? So it's okay. Anyway, so the Lord calls such a rare devotee, okay, the best among the yogis. So they are known as the best among the yogis. So such a perfect yogi is enabled by the divine grace. He is enabled by the divine grace of what? Of the Lord. So that means enabled. That means he was allowed. That means in other words, say like for instance in WhatsApp group, all right, or in Telegram group. First I click, okay, I put everybody and I put there only admin can send message. All right. But suddenly I just say enable everybody to send message. That means it's in my in my hand, in my finger. I need to go to that website, WhatsApp or Telegram. Need to click the button, enable all to send message. So I have to enable. I need to allow it. So that means he says a perfect is enabled by the divine grace of the Lord. So that means in order for us to come to that level of perfect yogi, okay, in order to concentrate his mind upon the Lord himself have to enable it. You have to click the button, ting, enable you, that you can concentrate your mind to Krishna. So far, so good. So you have to enable, all right, to concentrate his mind upon the Lord with a perfect sense of consciousness. So what is that perfect sense of consciousness? That means the consciousness means that the perfect sense of consciousness means that means they have already get purified with all their indriyas. That means all that all these what they call the mind, the intelligence, and the ego. Everything is purified. So that means you come to the level of perfect sense. All right. And thus, by chanting the holy name before quitting the body, the yogi at once transferred by this internal energy of the Lord. All right. So that means thus by the chanting of the holy name, okay, that means we are all chanting. But once we come to the level of perfect sense means our eyes have become perfect, our nose become perfect, our tongue become perfect, our ears become perfect, and our hand, everything become perfect. Our eyes are only attracted to Krishna and his pure devotee and no one else. Our ears, we will just love to listen to Hari Katha or the chanting or the Kirtana. Only that. Our tongue, we only like to vibrate, just talk about Krishna story, not any kind of mundane story or any kind of gossip. Our tongue, we just would like to taste the prasadam of Krishna and nothing else. Even how palatable the food is, even how hungry we are starving, and yet you will never have the taste to eat something which is not offered to Krishna, which is not sanctified. Right? And our nose, we always like to smell. We are no longer attracted to any kind of fragrance like perfumes and everything. We only get attracted to that incense offered to the Lord, the Benjamin, Sambrani offered to the Lord, or the flowers that offer to the Lord, or the sandanam offered to the Lord, or the what they call that that perfume. They usually apply on this thing after every morning. They just apply. You just smell it all. So that means your nose has become perfect, right? And the working sense object, like for instance, like your hand and legs, right? Your leg will like to just will be always looking forward to walk to temple, right? And your hands will always look forward to something to engage it in the service of Krishna. So that means this is what they call the perfect sense. All right. So that means when we come to the sense of perfect this thing, and thus by chanting the holy name before quitting the body, just before we leave the body, the yogi at that moment itself, at once, he is transferred by the internal energy. What is that internal energy? The Ladini Shakti, or the spiritual potency. All right. That is called the internal energy. All right. Transferred by the internal energy of the Lord to one of his eternal planets, where there's no question of material life and concomitant factors. That means he will be transferred to one of the eternal planets. To one of the eternal planets means what? According to the Ishtadev that you worship. All right. If you are ardent devotee of Lord Ramachandra, you will go to the planet of Lord Ramachandra. In Vaikunta, the place called Ayodhya. Right? If you are a very ardent, pure devotee of Lord Narsingadev, your Ishtadev, you only worship Narsingadev, you go to the planet of Ahovila. That means the place where Lord Narsingadev resides. All right. And if you are a great worshipper of this what they call Rukmani Krishna or Dwaraka Krishna, you are so attracted to see Krishna in the form of a king, you will go to the planet of Vaikunta called Dwaraka. Right? But if you are a great devotee that you're so attracted to the Krishna's baby pastime, like the song that I sang there just now, Baja Bhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. No? He's talking about Krishna and his playmates, right? We talk about Krishna and Mother Yasoda, Damodara, all right, Radharani, the quarrel between Krishna, Rasa Leela. When we are so attracted to that, we go to that ultimate place called the Goloka Vrindavan. All right? But doesn't matter wherever you go, whichever place that you go, doesn't matter. If you end up in any of these Vaikunta planets, right? Okay, the Vaikunta planet. That means there is no question of material life and its concomitant factors or the associates of the material life, right? Okay. So in material existence, now let's look at this. So in material existence, all right, the living being has to endure the material condition, right? So in material existence, living being has to endure, endure another, have to go through terribly. What they call, if you're going through suffering, they call you have to endure your pain, right? If you are in military, right, if you're going through this kind of a severe military training, what did they tell you? You have to go for, and you have to endure the training, right? And there's also now there's a new game they call endurance, right? Okay, now it's going to be endurance race. That means what? That means you're going to go through terrible kind of suffering. They want to see how much you can tahan. Enduring means tahan. right? First you run what, 30 kilometers. Then after that you jump into the water and swim another 10 kilometers. After you swim, you come out immediately, take the bicycle and cycle for the next 30 kilometers. They call endurance race. All right. See that how long you can take it. All right. Endurance. So endurance means something you have to go through and something that you are going through and tolerate severe kind of situation. That's the word that's when we use the word endure. Right. So Prabhupada might have used the thing in material existence, living has to tolerate. He can use the word tolerate. What is tolerate? Right? Say like, for instance, your children become very, very naughty, you can't take it, just tolerate them. If your spouse start nagging, tolerate them. Right? Right? So sometimes you feel like it is such a hot sun and your aircon spoiled, you cannot sleep, you tolerate them. This is called tolerance. Right? If your friend shout at you, tolerate. But when you talk about endurance, you are put in a very severe kind of situation, a very severe kind of suffering that you have no choice but to endure. You understand? So that means in material existence, living has to endure. Endure what? The material condition. And what is that material condition? The threefold miseries. The threefold miseries. And what are the threefold miseries? The suffering, the miseries. All right. Prabhupada might can use the word suffering. All right. He can use the word, but why you use the word misery? Misery means is extreme suffering. Example, a patient suffering from cancer and his life is miserable. Right? A person is suffering from a cancer, That means when we see them, we see they are suffering. But what the patient going through is miserable condition, is going through misery. So that means the threefold miseries. What are the threefold miseries? Klesha, they call 3 types of klesha, right? So what are the threefold miseries? I forgot the Sanskrit term. Is Dr. Dinesh there? Dinesh.
Prabhu.
What are the 3 kleshas? The
Adhyatmik, Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik.
Okay, Adhyamik, Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik. That means the suffering that you go through your mind. All right. The suffering that you go through the nature. And the third suffering, the suffering that you go through, first suffering is Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adi. So the first suffering is the suffering from the mind. Second is,
from other living entities.
Other living entities and the fellow human being. Right?
No, the other one, Adi Daivik, is from
Devas.
Devas. Yeah.
So that means the threefold of misery, in simple term, it is the first misery is when we suffer from other living entities, like this kind of virus, right? See, just COVID-19 made people to stand on their knees. The whole world was on the knees, right? Just a simple virus, COVID, right? So these kind of viral things, okay, we are going through suffering from these kind of horrifying things that we cannot see, the tiny things that we see. Another thing that we are going through suffering from other the people around us. The people around us. That means like, right? Sometimes we see that suffering from fellow human being, or like terrorist attack, some theft, some kind of disease. All right, that's it. Another thing is the suffering that comes from the devatas or the nature. Suddenly you see extreme cold, suddenly you see extreme hot, so like that. So that means this kind of threefold miseries, we have no choice. This is what the material condition is all about. So the material condition means Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi, what is it? Another one? Adi Daivik. Finish?
Adhyatmik.
Adhyamik, all right. Adhyamik, Adi Daivik,
Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik.
Adi Bhautik, all right, okay. The threefold of horrible miseries. We are actually going through this kind of suffering. Hey, this doesn't make sense, right? Suddenly we see that extreme weather. Suddenly you see there's an extreme rain until the whole place become flooded, right? Suddenly we see earthquake. Suddenly we see there's a typhoon. Everyone is suffering from this kind of natural disaster that come from the devatas. They are in charge of that, right? And second kind of suffering is from the fellow human being. We see that the kind of gangsters and all these kind of things, right? Basically, that all of us are depressed because of a fellow human being, right? Right? Because you see, when you're depressed, why? Oh my God, my children are terrible. I can't take it, right? Suddenly you see that people are so depressed, they want to commit suicide. Why? Because someone sacked me, or my boyfriend, girlfriend left me. I can't take it. I want to commit suicide. So all these kind of things because of the fellow human being. And the third thing is the final tiny things that called the virus and bacteria and all these kind of things that make people that go through some kind of severe kind of disease and all this. So these three kind of things can destroy a person's integrity, goals, dreams, ambition, and success. Right? Okay. A person who can be a very successful businessman, a fellow human being can push him down and he can be a pauper. Right? And a person working so hard about to reach the success, suddenly a kind of disease will start to appear in the body. And the doctor says, that's it. Your time is counted, like cancer, all these kind of cells. Right? Oh my God, shattered, life shattered. Right? Or sometimes we create some kind of nice thing. Suddenly, a natural disaster will wipe everything off. Right? Suddenly, earthquake, suddenly a big flood. Right? A crop, we are planting the crop so nicely. Suddenly, there's a kind of bugs will come, destroy everything. Right? So these kind of things, the threefold miseries that we are going through, three kind of condition. Right? But where? But how we are going to threefold? Life after life. We are going through this life after life. It is not the first time that we are going through it. Right? So we are going through this life after life, and how? According to one's or of his fruitive work. According to his fruitive work. According to that karma that he do. Fruitive work, in other words, you also call karma. Karmic. Right? Such material life is produced by material desire only. Do you all agree? Such material life is produced by material desire only. Who asked for a telephone? Who asked for a cell phone? Right? Because of material desire. So someone was telling me, can you live without the phone? We can't. Right? We can't live without a phone ready right now. So because it was created by someone, okay, why the car was created? Because of the material desire to go fast, to go this thing. The car was created, then the car was many varieties of cars. Like the phone was created, there are many varieties of phone. And everyone using Apple iPhone is considered, wow, you are top notch among the cell phone user. Right? And suddenly, okay, now I'm working hard. Okay, I was living in a small house very peacefully. Now I work so hard so that I can build a big, huge house. So that means such material, everything is produced by desire, material desire. And what is that material desire? The material desire is something that devoid of God, which is God is removed. So we understand that we have two types of body. Do you all remember that? We have gross and we have subtle. All right. So the gross body is made of 5 elements. That is earth, water, fire, ether, and air. Correct or not? That is what the material body is created. And in that material body inside, there's another body called subtle body. S-U-B-T-L-E, subtle. Or in Tamil, we call Susuma Udal. Susuma Udal. Subtle body. And the subtle body is made of 3 elements. That is intelligence, mind, and false ego. And what is the false ego? False identification. The 3. And inside there, the soul is stuck. Right? So that means when we are trying to study Bhagavatam, chant Hare Krishna, read Bhagavad Gita, and all these things, we are working in a subtle form, whereby we are trying to purify our mind, our intelligence, and our ego. Right? But when we are engaging in this material, this thing, we are engaging all these 5 material senses. That is eyes, nose, ears, tongue, taste, and touch. Right? Say, for instance, okay, I'm working so hard, so I can have a big car. So what is that big car? All right, for instance, I get into a Mercedes Benz. First, I go, it satisfies my eyes. Oh my God, look at that car, man. Beautiful car. Eyes happy. Right? Then you on the thing. Trick. Okay, your ears. You get into the car, you smell, wow, what a fragrance. Right? Then you start the car, boom, the sense of touch, taste. So we are actually engaging our material sense to enjoy it. So that's what he says. This is what the material life. So the material life is produced by material desire. And that material desire is something which is devoid of God. But devotional service to the Lord does not kill the natural desire of the living being. So the devotional service to the Lord. Now, the thing is, if I come into devotional service, that means I'm going to live like a zombie. Am I going to live a life without any kind of desire? I mean, how can I? How can I live in a void? Right? When I see everyone around us, around me, somewhere or other, they're having this kind of thing, and I'm trying to refrain from it. It doesn't make sense. So what Prabhupada is mentioning here, devotional service to the Lord does not kill the natural desire of the living being. So natural desire, naturally a living entity has a desire, right? So we have desire. Without desire, there's no living entity, right? Even if you want to go back home, back to Godhead, it's also a desire. It is not something that you are trying to be desireless. There's no one can be desireless, right? So everyone has desire. Even you want to go back home, back to Godhead is a desire. You want to serve Krishna is a desire. If you want to enjoy a material opulence is desire. Everything is desire, but they are applied in the right cause of devotional service. So the desire, you apply it in the right cause of devotional service. As I said just now, all right? Now, like what Dr. Prema did, she has a building. Under the building, she's utilizing the first floor for a clinic. The upper floor was empty. So what she did, she gave it to us to start that ISKCON Namahat Center, the first garden Namahat Center. So that means she has a desire to own a property. And under that, she was running a clinic. And above that, she gave away for devotional service. So that means she's applying. That's how we apply our right thing, right? Okay, I am an educated person. I need to go to work. If I don't work, I cannot maintain my family, right? So, okay, now if I want to maintain my family, I need to go to work. So what I do, I go to work. I work accordingly. And I earn that money. I bring the money back home, right? And what I do, I utilize the money for spiritual life. At the same time, I utilize the money for maintaining my family, right? So that means that is how the positive way of applying. Just like sometimes when we offer food to Krishna, when we cook, we don't take the whole pane, we don't take the whole pot and put it in front of the Lord. No, we take the small portion and offer to the Lord. Similarly, when we earn, when we are earning, when we make money, take the small portion of your salary and offer to Krishna. When you do that, your entire income becomes sanctified. It become like prasadam. It purified. And your attempt 30 days working in that organization, it becomes devotional service. Even though you're working in that kind of environment, right? Example, I'm a CEO of a company and I'm working, I'm a trainer and I'm a coach, I'm talking some mundane things, blah, 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 all the things I'm doing. But end of the day, I get my salary. So all the doing and talking and acting, it becomes devotional service. Because end of the day, I'm utilizing the income for Krishna. So that means all the desire that we have to apply it in the right cause of devotional service. But when we are not going to do that, when we are trying to keep everything for our own self, for our own sense gratification, that means gratifying our senses, we become miser. All right, we become miser. Okay, now, yep. All right. So the qualities, the desire. So these qualities, that means what Prabhupada is, these qualities. What is these qualities? Again, the quality is applying the right cause of devotion. That means All right. That means the natural desire, okay, that applied in the right cause of devotional service. All right. So this is called these qualities. That means applying the desire for the right cause. All right. The qualities, this qualifies. Someone, Shiva, you keep unmuting. All right. Right. So this qualifies. That means this act of applying your desire in a positive way in devotional service. The desire of applying these you're applying your desire in devotional service qualifies the desire to be transferred to the spiritual sky. Can you see that? This is simple, right? But people, yogis, will make it very complicated, right? What they say, they are trying to suppress their desire, right? Because they know the senses are so strong. During the winter, the body says, oh, I'm feeling very cold. The body says, cold, come on, SOS, cold. What they will do? They will go into the chilly water. You know, when you see the yogis in Himalayas, what they do? During the winter, they go jump into the water and meditate. You are telling you're cold, I give you more cold, right? And during summer, hot summer, they will put the fire ring around them and they sit in the middle. It's already scorching hot. Under the sun, they put fire and create more heat. And they sit there and meditate because they want to kill the desire. They want to suppress the desire. So what it says here, what Prabhupada is telling here is a very practical way of applying our desire. You have desire, all right? If you're going to use it for yourself, you're going to be miserly person. But if you're going to use it in a very, if you're going to use it in a what they call in the right way, if you're going to use it in a positive way, in devotional service, this qualifies that desire to be transferred to the spiritual sky. So generally, Bhishma Dev is referring to the particular type of yoga called Bhakti Yoga. So what Bhishma Dev is referring here is Bhakti Yoga. All right? Bhakti Yoga. And he was fortunate enough to have the Lord. At the same time, he was fortunate enough. Bhishma Dev is so fortunate that he have the Lord directly in his presence before he quit his material body. How fortunate. He therefore desired the Lord to stay before his view in the following verses. Now you all understand how Prabhupada is bringing the desire into this concept. So far, do you have any questions? Do you all understand? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Who's that?
Saras, yeah?
Yeah, you have any question?
No, Prabhu.
Oh, okay. You don't have a question. All right.
I
Okay.
did that. That's why I answered. I'm that.
Oh, okay. Right. No problem. Right. So do you find that this is a very interesting verse? Right? This is a very interesting verse that says Bhaktya Veshya Mano Yasmin Vachayan Nama Kirtayan Tyajan Kalevarang Yogi Muchyate Kama Karmabi. If you have a chance, please memorize this verse. It comes under Canto 9, Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 23. Why Jiva? All right. So you is a Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 23. So this is a fantastic verse to memorize. What it says, the personality of Godhead who appears in the mind of the devotee. How? By attentive devotion, by serving very attentively, and meditation. That means you're always thinking about how the way and ways that you can serve him. If you are a cook, you are thinking about different types of food that you can cook to please the Lord. At the same time, by chanting the holy name. All right. These three acts, what it will do, it releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material body. Okay. He'll release the devotee from the bondage. All right. Whereby when the devotee leaves his body, he go back home, straight back home, back to God. Liberation. All right. Now let's look at text 24. But before that, now it's 8:43. Shall we take 2 minutes break? All right. So we take a 2 minutes break. Please don't leave. It's only a short break, just 2 minutes. Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Are we back? Everyone is back?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, now let's look at this verse. Verse 24. Okay. Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshataং Kale Varam Yavat Idang Hinomyaham Prasannaha Sarunalochano Lasan Mukhambuja Dhyana Patas Chaturbhujaha Sadeva Devo. So Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshataং Kalevarang Yavat Idang Hinomyaham Prasannaha Saruna Lochanollasan Mukhambuja Dhyana Patas Chaturbhuja. All right. Sa, he, Deva Devo, Deva Deva, the Supreme Lord of the Lords, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Pratikshatam, make kindly wait, Kalevaram, body, Yavad, as long as, Idam, this material body, Hinomi, may quit, Aham, I, Prasanna, cheerful, Asa, smiling, Aruna, Lochana, eyes red like a morning sun, Ullasat, beautifully decorated, Mukha Ambuja, the lotus flower of his face, Dhyana Pataha, in the path of my meditation, Chaturbhuja, the four-handed form of Narayana, the worshipable deity of Bhishmadev. Translation. So now, after addressing all the things, I mean, when you look at this chapter 9, Bhishmadev is about to leave his body. He was telling about, he was advising Yudhishthira, whatever things happen to you, it's by the will of the Lord. You think that Lord is actually your cousin or your friend or whatever it is, it's just an illusion. But you must understand, the person that stands right beside you is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna himself, right? And he can be only achieved by what they call attentive devotional service, meditation, and chanting the holy name, right? So after all that instruction he was giving, and now the Bhishmadev is now praying to Lord Krishna. What he says, may my Lord, who is four-handed and whose beautifully decorated lotus face with eyes as red as the rising sun is smiling, kindly await me at that moment when I quit this material body. So Bhishma is praying to this thing. So may my Lord, who is the four-handed and whose beautifully decorated lotus face, his face is beautiful, decorated, right? So when you talk about his decoration of lotus face, even the eyes itself, right? Pundari Kaksham, the lotus petal eye, right? Lotus petaled eye. And what they call, it has the, what they call Madana Mohan, all right? The one who even attracts the Cupid, all right? Even the Cupid is captivated with the eyes of the Lord, right? So the Cupid always with bow and arrow, right? But here, what is that bow and arrow, right? They say the eyebrow of the Lord is the bow and the vision is the arrow. So with this bow and the arrow, he even attracts the Madan or the Cupid and also all living entities. So like that, there's a way of, looking at that face, right? His eyebrows, his eyes are called Pundarikaksham, his nose, his bimba type of lips, right? Is a kind of a reddish, looks like bimba fruit, right? And his ears with the kundala, we have a kind of a kundal, right? All these things, right? So that means beautifully decorated lotus face with eyes as red as the rising sun. All right. When the sun rising is so pleasant, right? So his eyes raised, okay? He's smiling. Kindly await me at that moment. when I quit this material body. Perfect. Bhishma Dev knew well that Lord Krishna is the original Narayana. Right? So that means that they are Narayana, right? But the original of Narayana is Lord Krishna. All right. His worshipable deity was four-handed Narayana. That means Bhishma Dev's worshipable deity was four-handed Narayana. He worshipped in the form of Narayana. But he knew that four-handed Narayana is a plenary expansion of the Lord Krishna. What does that mean? Plenary expansion. So that means first is Krishna. From Krishna, first expansion is Balaram, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Sankarsana. So like that, then it comes to Mahavishnu, Narayana, Lord Narayana. So that means it's a plenary expansion. All right. Indirectly desired Lord Sri Krishna to manifest himself. Okay, indirectly desired Lord Sri Krishna to manifest himself in his four-handed feature of Narayana. So he wanted Krishna to show his four-handed form of Narayana. So a Vaishnava is always humble in his behavior. All right, a Vaishnava is always humble in his behavior. So that is that first quality of a Vaishnava. That means he's always humble. Humble in the sense of his behavior wise. All right. Although it was 10% certain that Bhishma Dev was approaching, right? Although it's 10%, 10% means, in other words, now in modern word we call 101%. All right. Certain that Bhishma Dev was approaching Vaikuntha Dham. All right. Bhishma Dev is going to Vaikuntha Dham just after leaving his material body. Still, as a humble Vaishnava, he desired to see the beautiful face of the Lord. That means, in other words, it's rest assured, it's 101% confirmed that Bhishma Dev is going to go to Vaikuntha Loka. All right. But as a humble devotee, a Vaishnava devotee, he desired to see the beautiful face of the Lord. He wanted to see the beautiful face of the Lord. All right. For after quitting the present body, he might not be in the position to see the Lord anymore. Right? He might be, after he give up his body, go to Vaikuntha Loka, maybe he might not be in a position to see the Lord anymore. Or in other words, if he goes back to Vaikuntha Loka, if he take up some certain service, maybe you have to see the Lord from far away. Right? So there are chances of him not to see the Lord anymore. A Vaishnava is not puffed up. That means a Vaishnava is not puffed up. Although the Lord guarantees his pure devotees entrance into his abode. Right? So that means a Vaishnava, that means he's guaranteed, a pure devotee, he's guaranteed that he's going to go to Vaikuntha Loka or Goloka Vrindavan. So that is not necessary for him to be very puffed up. You know what? I'm a Vaikuntha Vasi. I'm going to go back home, back to Godhead. He's not puffed up. He's always remained humble. You understand? All right. Here Bhishma Dev says, as long as I do not quit this body, means that the great general would quit the body by his own will. All right. That means the great general will quit his body by his own will. Because Bhishma Dev was given such a boon that he can decide the time of death. Okay, he can decide when he's going to die. So that means he's quite sure. That means he would quit the body by his own will. He was not being forced by the law of nature. That means he's not being forced by the law of nature. All of us are some or other forced by the law of nature. All right. Whether we like it or not, a time comes we have to quit this body. We cannot say, I would like to stay a moment, maybe give me another 5 minutes, or give me another 1 hour, I need to settle. No, when the time comes, that's it. All right, time comes. So when a devotee leaves the body, he leaves the body. He just come out from the body. He will see that he will see this, the Garuda Vahana. Right, Garuda Vahana. That means you see that Garuda Alliance, in other words, and Vishnu Duttas will receive the soul and straight away fly him back home, back to God. But a non-devotee, a person who are still in material kind of consideration, he will face death in a very horrifying way. That means he will be snatched. He'll be pulled out. And who pulls out is by Yamaduttas. Okay, they call pasa kairi. It's like a cowboy string, you know. He will just throw, pull out, snatch out. All right. So that's why it's called forced by the law of nature. He was so powerful that he could stay in his body as long as he desired. He got this benediction from his father He desired that the Lord stay before him. So he desired the Lord to stay before him in his four-handed Narayana picture, so that he might concentrate upon him and thus be in trance in that meditation. And what is that trance? This is called samadhi. That means he's in the trance. That means he's looking at it, he's like in samadhi, right? Then his mind might be sanctified. Okay? That means then his mind might be sanctified by thinking of the Lord. What is sanctified? Purified, right? Or become spiritualized with thinking of the Lord. Thus he did not mind wherever he might go. He don't care where he goes. He just want to see the Lord. A pure devotee is never very anxious to go back to the kingdom of God. Even the kingdom of God is been assured to the devotee. He is not very anxious. Oh, I want to go now itself. No. He just say, wherever the thing comes, this thing. All right. He entirely depends on the goodwill of the Lord. He simply depends on the goodwill of the Lord. He is equally satisfied even if the Lord desire him to go to hell. All right. This is something that's quite unique here. Right. He says, even a pure devotee is also will be very satisfied even if the Lord desire him to go to hell. All right. So like that. So that's why sometimes you see a pure devotee, sometimes they say he doesn't even want Vaikuntha liberation. Where we study that? The prayer of Queen Kunti or this the Narada Muni's instruction. That's one part we have studied that I remember. What he says? I do not even want liberation to Vaikuntha Loka. I do not even desire for any kind of boon. The only thing that I want is to be your servant life after life. That always I can keep your lotus feet in my mind. Always. So keeping the lotus feet of the Lord in the mind is more satisfying than going back home, back to Godhead, going back to Vaikuntha Loka, getting liberated. They are not even bothered about that. They just want to hold the Lord in the heart. Okay. The only desire that pure devotee entertains is that he may always in rapt attention with thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord. Oh, it's here. Sorry, it's mentioned here. So the only desire pure devotee entertain is he always be in rapt attention. That means it's full concentration with thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord, regardless. All right? Regardless of going to hell or wherever, he don't care. Bhishma Dev wanted this much only, that his mind be absorbed in thinking of the Lord and that he passes away thus, that he pass away thus. This is the highest ambition of a pure devotee. All right? So always the devotee's anxiety is, will I be able to remember the Lord at that final exam? Will I be able to remember the Lord at the time that I'm going to quit this body? That is always the anxiety of the Lord, of the devotee. All right? That doesn't mean that. So sometimes you say, we said, okay, anxiety-free lifestyle. When you chant Hare Krishna, when you read Bhagavad Gita, your life will be very anxiety-free. Yes, fair enough. But there is anxiety in a devotee that he's always careful. All right? He always careful that at the time that he's going to leave this body, he'll be always remember the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay? The thing that scares the devotee most when the person dies without remembrance. But in Padma Purana, Lord Shiva assures. In Padma Purana, Lord Shiva assures. I think we'll read this here. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we go on because Lord Shiva, what assurance does Lord Shiva give? Lord Shiva gives assurance. When a devotee dies in forgetfulness, I shall go and to his ears and I'll make him remember. So that is the biggest assurance that we have. The Lord Mahadev is giving us such a fantastic assurance so that we can practice this bhakti fearlessly. All right. So sometimes you say, sometimes we are doing something the death suddenly comes and we forget. Right? Say we are looking at something else, or suddenly we remember something else. But Lord Shiva guarantees this. He will come to the ears and he will remind you of the lotus feet of the Lord so that the devotee will be liberated. All right? Okay, anyway. So, so far, do you have any questions? Any comment? 25. Shall we do one last verse? Okay, it's already 9 o'clock. we can. Shall we do just one last verse? Give me another 15 minutes. Is it okay with everyone?
Okay, Prabhu, carry on, Prabhu, carry on, Prabhu.
Can.
All right. Okay. Now, let's look at text 25. Now, Sutta Uvacha. Who's the Suttadev Goswami? Right? Can anyone tell me who's Sutta? Sutta is the one who are addressing the sages in Naimisaranya. So that means Sutta Goswami heard this Bhagavatam from Sukadev Goswami in the assembly when Sukadev Goswami was instructing Parikshit Maharaj. That's first incident. And now that Sutta Goswami is being invited in that Naimisaranya forest, and he's giving the talk. So just now he was telling, and now Sutta Goswami is going to give his, he's speaking. All right. Just now he was telling what he heard. Now he's telling. So Sutta Uvacha, Yudhistiras tad akarnya, Yudhistiras tada karnya, Shayanang sashara panjare, Aprichat vividan dharman, Rishi nang chanu shrinvatam. Sutta Uvacha, Sri Sutta Goswami said, Yudhistiraha, the king Yudhistira, that akarnya, hearing, Shayanam, lying down, Shara Panjare, on the bed of arrows. Aprichat, asked Vividan, multifarious, Dharman, duties, Rishinam, of the rishis, Cha and Anu Shrinvatam, hearing after. Okay, now the translation. So Sutta Goswami says, now Sutta Goswami is telling now another scenario now. He's saying, Maharaj Yudhishthira, after hearing Bhishmadev, speak in that appealing tone. That means it's a very humble tone. Asked him in the presence of all the great rishis. So what are the rishis that we see? Angira, Narada. All right. All the rishis are great rishis are all there, right? So he asked him in the presence of all the great rishis. What he asked about the essential principle of various religious duties. All right. So now Bhishma, he asking Maharaj Yudhishthira asking Bhishmadev, please tell me what is the essential principle of various duties. All right. Okay. Now, so Bhishmadev speaking in that appealing tone, convinced Maharaj Yudhishthira that he was very soon passing away. All right. By telling all these stories, he is convinced Maharaj Yudhishthira that he's going to die anytime. And Maharaj Yudhishthira was inspired by Lord Krishna to ask him the principle of religion. So Maharaj Yudhishthira was inspired, right, to ask him the principle of religion. So Lord Sri Krishna inspired Maharaj Yudhishthira to ask Bhishmadev in the presence of all great sages. Why? Because it indicating thereby the Lord's devotee like Bhishmadev, although apparently living as a worldly man, is far superior to many great sages, even to Vyasadeva. Can you see this? So, Maharaj Yudhishthira, if you want to ask about the principle of religion, he could have just asked all the rishis. Angira Muni, please tell me. All right. Vyasadeva, please tell me. Or Narada, please tell me. He can ask all the great rishis. But he was inspired by Krishna to ask this question in front of all these great people. Right? In front of all these great rishis. Why? Because it's an indication that devotee like Bhishma, okay, even though he looks like a worldly man, he's the king, he's a general, right? He's a general in that kingdom, right? So this kind of person who are worldly man is far superior. That means this personality, Bhishma, who is a pure devotee, is far superior than all that many great sages, even Vyasadeva. Can you imagine that? He's more superior than Vyasadeva. So that is that unique position of a pure devotee of the Lord. So another point is that Bhishmadev at the time was not only lying on the deathbed of arrows. That means what? So Bhishmadev was shot so many arrows and he fell down. He was not on the ground, but all the arrows became like a bait and he was lying on it. Right? So when all the arrows shot at him, right, he fell. So he fell, he didn't fall on the ground because all the arrows behind him became like a bait. So it's like floating on the arrow. Right? So now let's look at this. So Bhishma at the time was not only lying on a deathbed of arrows, but was greatly aggrieved of that state. All right. He was greatly aggrieved. All right. Because of the state. One should not have asked him any question at that time. Right or not? Aggrieved means he's such a great pain. He's in great dilemma. Right? So one should not have asked him any question at that time. Yes or not? When people are dying, when people are suffering, usually people don't ask any question. Yes or not? But Lord Krishna wanted to prove that his pure devotees are always sound in body and mind by dint of spiritual enlightenment. So even though that he is aggrieved, but Krishna is trying to make a point that his devotees are always sound in body and mind by dint of spiritual enlightenment. So this is one example that we see in during the passing of Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada was leaving his body, right? So when Srila Prabhupada was leaving his body, what happened? Right? He was very frail, right? He was very frail. Okay, he was very weak. He was not eating. He was like getting ready to leave the body, right? And all, he's surrounded by all the devotees. And he knows that he's going to die. Prabhupada going to leave the body. But until his final breath, he was translating Srimad Bhagavatam. He was giving the purport of Bhagavatam. So when you can see the final moment of Srila Prabhupada, you can go to YouTube and watch, right? There'll be a person who will be reading and they will put a microphone near the Prabhupada's mouth and Prabhupada was talking. So that is the indication of a pure devotee. Even at the final moment of death, when the body becomes so weak, right? When the kind of anxiety is that the heart will be beating hard, the mind will be reeling, oh my God, I'm going to die. I don't know where am I going to go? What is it? Oh my God. But he was still remain very alert. He was translating Bhagavatam. He was giving purport. Suddenly everything became silent. And they checked, he have left. Right? That's what happened to our Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Now, and thus in any circumstances, that means mind dint of spiritual environment. And in any circumstances, the devotee of the Lord is in perfect order to speak the right of life. So that means in any kind of situation, even at the final moment of last breath, they are always in perfect order to speak of the right way of life. So Yudhishthira also preferred to solve his problematic questions by asking Bhishma Dev, rather than ask anyone else present there who was seemingly more learned than Bhishma Dev. So that means what Yudhishthira did, he preferred to ask these kind of problematic questions to Bhishma Dev, even though he was surrounded by all the great devotees, great learned devotees, rishis and all these things, right? So this is all due to the arrangement of the great wheel carrier, Lord Krishna. All right. What is a wheel carrier? The one carries that Sudarshan Chakra. All right. It's all created by the great wheel carrier, Sri Krishna. Is inspired by Krishna, who establishes the glories of his devotees. So that is why it says offending the devotees can be the most, it's going to be the most horrifying thing a person can do. Because the Krishna always like to establish the glories of his devotees. All right. The father liked to see the son become more famous than himself. This is the analogy what Prabhupada is giving. Sometimes the father liked to see the son become more successful than him, right? The father may be a HA, hospital assistant, but he likes to see the son become a doctor, right? He doesn't want to see the son become attendant. All right, I'm HA, so my son become attendant. He cannot be better than me. No. The father says, I'll sacrifice my life to educate you. So even I'm a HA, you become a doctor. So it's always normal. So the father likes to see the son become more famous than himself. So the Lord declares very empathetically that worship of his devotees is more valuable than the worship of the Lord himself. So empathetically, that means he's very firmly, okay, with full of confidence, he have already declares. Why Prabhupada use the word declare? Declare means there's nothing that you cannot turn back. Example, the war is declared. So war is declared means it's what? That's it. They're going to fight. All right. So the war is arranged. No, the war is arranged. They don't use the word war is arranged. All right. The war is set up. No, the war is declared. I declare you bankrupt. Even say, like, for instance, the judge will say, I declare you. That means there's no turning back. All right. There's nothing you can think twice. So that means the Lord declares here. He make a declaration very empathetically. That means very firmly, clearly, that worship of his devotee, that means by worshipping his devotee, pure devotee, is more valuable than worship of the Lord himself. All right. I would like to again repeat the story that I used to say. Tirukachi Nambi is one of the great acharya in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. He did a very nice service of making galan and fanning Lord Ranganath in South India. And until he became good friend to Lord Ranganath, and Lord Ranganatha will come and meet him personally, and they used to have a chat. Can you imagine? Lord Ranganatha is coming to him and talking. How it feels, right? So at that one particular moment, his Siksha disciple Ramanuja Acharya will ask, will I go back home back to Godhead? Was it Ramanuja? Or someone asked him, will I go back home back to Godhead? And Tirukachi Nambi says, okay, I will ask the Lord. So you're going to ask the Lord, my dear Lord, this particular devotee, I think it's Ramanuja, I can't recall. He asked, will that particular devotee, the devotee asked me to ask you, will he go back home back to Godhead? And Lord Ranganatha says, definitely after he quits his body, he's going to come to my abode in Vaikuntha Loka and going to stay with me. Okay. Then after that, Tirukachi Nambi asked, how about me, my Lord? Do you think I can come to you? After I give up this body, will I come to you to Vaikuntha Loka? And Lord says, very shockingly, he said, no. And he got a shock of his life. What? My dear Lord, every day you're coming and seeing me. We are acting like a friend. You're talking to me like a friend, right? I love you more than anything else in my life. I'm doing all this kind kriya. I'm making a galan for you. Every day without fail, I come and fan you. And every day you're coming to meet me. I'm seeing you face to face. And you're saying that I don't qualify to come back to you? He said, no. And Tirukachi Nambi got a shock, a big shock. And he asked, so how? What should I do? I mean, why do you think I cannot come back to you? And that's when Lord Ranganath says, well, you have not served my devotees. Serving devotee is completing the process of Bhakti Yoga. You have not served my devotees. You are serving me very nicely. You are doing such a fantastic job, and I'm very pleased. I'm coming and seeing you face to face. But yet you don't qualify because you have not served my devotees. Then he asked, so what should I do? Go and serve my devotee. Go become a menial servant to my devotees. And he was shocked. Then what he do? He will go and look for, because he's such a great acharya, definitely he cannot go to any devotee and says, can I serve you? People run away. What? You're a great acharya, want to serve me? No. Don't create aprat on me. No, please, Prabhu. Please, Swami, please don't ever use that word. You are creating offense for me. People run away from him because he's a great acharya. Then what he did? He went in disguise. All right? He covered his face. He covered his thing. He changed all the appearance without tilak and everything. He went to one of that, the guru of Ramanuja Swami, Ramanujacharya. I forgot his name. So he went and approached the guru of Ramanujacharya and asked him, my dear Prabhu, I'm here looking for a job. Of course, he went at disguise. I said, okay. The only thing, I said, can you engage me in any kind of job? I need a job. I need to serve you. I said, well, he said, look at him. He couldn't recognize him. Well, tell me what you're good at. He said, I'm good in handling cows. And I'm good in taking care of cows. Oh, all right. The Gosala is there. The cow farm is there. Go and look after my cows. All right. So go and serve my cows. So what he do? He go there and serve the cows. That means in the pretext of serving the devotee's cows. He go and look after the cow very nicely and everything. All right. So one day he take the cow for grazing. He was taking the cow for grazing. Suddenly it was such a big monsoon rain. And he and the cows didn't return. So this devotee, the guru of Ramanujacharya, became very worried. Where is this guy? He have taken my cows. I don't know what happened to my cows, and I don't know what happened to him. He became so worried. So while he was waiting, when the rain started to subside, when it started to slow down, he immediately rushed out looking for him. So when he came out, rushed out looking for him, he suddenly saw, you know what this Tirukachinam, you know what he did? He thought the mother cow will be freezing. He took his cover and take the put on the cow so that cow will feel warm. He was serving the cow that way under a tree. So he took that all the covering cloth, he put it on top, right? And of course, he drained all that things, everything disappeared. So when this devotee came and saw him, he got a shock of his life. He got a rude shock. Tirukachinambing, were you the person who come and become a servant? Yes, Swami. Oh my God, why did you put such a, no, Swami, no, I've not served any devotees. Please forgive me. Thank you so much for allowing me to serve you. All right. And because of that, Tirukachinambi at last qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. All right. So with this, we end the session here. So do you have any questions, any comment? So next week, we're going to do text 26. Text 26 is going to be a very big, long text. I think we're just going to we're going to study about this one text for the whole session, because it has a lot of meanings, right? So it has a lots of, if you have a Srimad Bhagavatam, please go through text 26, right? You see there's a lot of instruction, a very nectarian instruction. And after that, also 27, also there's so much of instruction, so nectarian, right? So after this, we do one verse for the whole session, all right? So with that, thank you so much. Do you have any questions, any comment? We meet again next week, Tuesday, for continuing our Bhagavatam class. And of course, after that, starting from next month or so, we will, the classes will be on Saturday and Sunday, right? Anyway, I'm just looking at the time. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Bhagavatam ki jai. So do you have any questions, any comment? Thanks, I heard the story before, but now only I understand. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Hari Bol. All right, Jiva. I'm so happy, Vartamal Mataji. At last, because of your enthusiasm and excitement, you're engaging me in this service. All right. Any other question? Do you have any questions? Any comment? All good?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes. Ah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes.
No, you said from next month onwards, you're changing it to Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Around what time? Evening also.
Evening, Mataji.
Okay.
Because my training starting from March onwards. So I'll be doing my other training from Monday to Friday. So Saturday, Sunday is going to be the class. All right. Okay. If there's no question, all right. So if I've said anything wrong, if I've said anything distinct, please forgive me. I just simply repeat what I've heard and what I've learned from the previous Acharya and also from my spiritual master. All right. So I wish you a fantastic, wonderful weekend. I hope you have a very spiritual weekend. And tomorrow morning, there is a class by Dr. Dinesh. If you can make it, please join. It's going to be mind-blowing. He already sent me the slide. All right. He's going to refute the story from Ambedkar, and he's going to be very scientifically present the topic. All right. So tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, please don't miss it. All right. Just give me a second. So the topic will be knowledge stolen by illusion. What does that mean? When the knowledge gets stolen by illusion. All right. So tomorrow is going to be 11 o'clock in the morning until 12 to 12:30. All right. He says within 1 hour 15 to 1.5 hours, he will try to finish the thing. So knowledge stolen by illusion by Bhakta Dr. Dineshwaran is going to be a very mind-blowing. I saw his slides. The slides was amazing, right? So don't miss it, right? Tomorrow, 11 o'clock. Please join at 11 a.m. sharp, okay? Because I will on the internet because I've got some other engagement. So I will on the YouTube, I mean, what they call the Zoom. And of course, he will go through that thing, right? So with that, have a wonderful weekend. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubevacha paditanam pavinibhyo vaishnave bayo namo nama. Hare Krishna. Good night. Have a nice day.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.